Hello and welcome to the Road to Autonomy. The Road to Autonomy is brought to you in part by Stantec Generation AV. Stantec Generation AV combines some of the most experienced AV experts in the industry with the resources of a global engineering firm. Stantec Generation AV provides education, consulting, assessment, and guidance to any industry interested in autonomous vehicles. Learn more at stantec.com. Hello and welcome to the Road to Autonomy. I am your host, Grayson Brulte. On today's episode, we're absolutely honored to have Robert Bielby, Senior Director, System Architecture and Product Planning for Automotive, Micron. Welcome to the podcast, Robert.
Thank you so much, Grayson. What an absolute pleasure.
I'm so excited to have Micron on because you made the incredible DD4R RAM years ago that allowed me to win Command and Conquer and Agents of Civilization, so I'm pumped.
That's what we do, okay? I'm glad we could help you out on that one. This is our value add here.
Micron's an incredible company, and we're seeing a lot of debates in the media now and a lot of statements around energy, and I'd love to get your opinion on this, Robert. So Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, has stated that 25% in electric vehicle range goes to the compute power needed for self-driving cars. Bryan Salesky, the co-founder and CEO of Argo AI, which is a partner of Ford's, has stated that Argo's robo-taxis will be hybrid, not electric at first. This raises the energy question. What can be done to increase the energy efficiency of autonomous vehicles?
That's a real challenge at the moment because we're the great news is that we've got a ton of compute performance that we can throw at the problem, which is necessary. So we're talking about teraops per second and multi-hundred teraops per second worth of bandwidth required to address the space. But with any kind of compute performance, there's always a power penalty that you pay, or it costs you in power. And so when you're talking about, fully autonomous vehicles, you're talking about 500-600 teraops per second, which I think is 10 to the ninth if we geek out, which is beyond billions. It's trillions of operations per second. And so there's a compute aspect of the power consumption, and then there's also the memory component of the power consumption. And memory definitely plays a key part of the power element of what's required to achieve level 4, level 5 autonomous driving. And to that extent, we're very focused on delivering, best in class, lowest power memory solutions to the space. But it's the industry today is, if we look at some of the currently available, publicly available solutions for L4, L5, we're at almost a kilowatt of power, 1,000 watts of power, and the industry would love to be at 200 watts, 75 watts. And so that's going to require a lot of work from a lot of different vendors, including memory suppliers, to get there.
That raises the question, how energy efficient are Micron's chips that are used in automotive?
Memory is definitely something that's increasing in terms of interest and consideration when we start to look at how much power is, consumed in the application. We're focused on delivering a highly reliable solution within the constraints of what's required to get there from a power perspective. So at some point, we can't escape the fact that there is a certain amount of power that's required to transfer data back and forth, but between memory and a processor. But what we're focused on is really how do we optimize that power consumption? And so one of the areas that we're very focused on is delivering best-in-class technology. And what that means is that we're on the most advanced node, the most advanced process technology. We announced 176-layer storage devices. We announced 1 alpha. We're leading the industry in DRAM process, storage process, and all of this translates to improvements in power. So I don't know if that exactly answered your question, but hopefully we're getting closer to it.
The improvements of power, is that something that the industry, you're working together hand in hand with the industry? So how do you balance reliability and increased energy efficiency?
So from a reliability standpoint, the automotive industry is probably the most focused on, high quality solutions. There are a number of different standards we could rattle off: AEC-Q 100, IATF 16949, et cetera, that really focuses on how do we deliver quality into this market where, we basically have for all intent and purposes, quote unquote, zero failures. So we look towards our internal processes and evaluate our internal processes to ensure that we're delivering best in class on this front. And we've got these aspirational goals towards zero defect. So that's kind of the foundation that we work on. And then, it translates into how do we actually design the memory? What are the processes we use to, put pen to paper and really define the product, design the product? All those are really tightly constrained. In fact, we've announced functional safety memory that looks at a very deliberate and explicit way to design the memory. But then on top of this, we then look at process technology, getting to the most advanced node, and that combination will lead us to lowest power consumption in the industry, if you will.
Is the company's relentless focus on quality, best in class, how you've been able to achieve a 40% market share for memory in the entire automotive industry?
Yeah, absolutely. Micron is now, we're celebrating our 30th year anniversary in automotive. And this has really come from really paying attention to what's required to be an automotive supplier. And specifically, one of the underlying most basic principles of supporting automotive is really delivering to a certain level of quality where, basically the expectation is zero defect. That's an aspirational goal, but that's really what the industry expects. And we've been at this for 30 years, and we plan to be at this for another 30 years as well.
And over the next 30 years, how do you imagine that market share growing with a relentless focus on zero defects? You're not like the record industry. Oh, we have breakage. Let's take it back. You're actually trying to do it right.
It's going to be, it's not going to be an easy chore to stay at 40% share, but we have aspirations to continue to grow that because we think that we, as a company, we have a unique situation where we have an entire portfolio anywhere from, and we're geeking out a little bit here, but NOR, NAND, DRAM, it's the entire portfolio, one-stop shop. The OEMs, tier ones are looking to get to one place that they could do business. They want to consolidate and reduce the suppliers. We've got the full portfolio. We've got the experience, the understanding, the investments, and the investments continue to climb in this space. And we continue to make those investments because for Micron, automotive is an important market. So it's continuing to do what we do well, continuing to invest in the market, continuing to understand, stay close to our customers, and continue to do what the automotive market requires in order to be successful.
Investing and constantly innovating is going to be the key to success. So it'll allow you to continue to grow that market share, enable more features in the vehicle. And I'd love to know, when you take a step back and you put on a consumer hat, what functions are Micron memory chips currently enabling in vehicles today?
So, there's a lot of fanfare around autonomous driving. And so people are, excited about the car driving itself, et cetera. But in reality, the majority of the business, 60% of the business today is really centered around what we call the in-vehicle experience or in-vehicle infotainment. So customers are making their purchasing decisions based upon the cockpit and the features and the functionality and the cool displays, et cetera. There's a glance and a nod to the exterior of the vehicle, and that's still important, but engine, transmission, horsepower, et cetera, are now becoming secondary relative to, what does the cockpit look like and what are the features that I have? And does this sync to my iPhone, and how many displays do I have? What's the graphical resolution, et cetera. So in-vehicle infotainment is becoming, or today is and will continue to remain a very important part of the market. But as we see the progression towards more advanced driver assistance features, ADAS features, and then the eventual goal to AD, you'll see more investments and you'll see greater momentum in memory in this space.
I'm happy you brought up in-vehicle entertainment. It's come a long way. I'll never forget it when Alpine came with the pop-up screen in the car that would hide, so nobody would know that you had a screen. It would pop up. We went from that.
Yeah.
And there was a really great group of people, including this one over here, that figured out a way to put the old original Apple computers in a car and put a screen and do really cool things. And now we just plug in your iPhone and away you go. So I think the entertainment is only going to continue in the car. You're seeing it now with all the large screens that Corning Glass is putting in the vehicles. And I'd love to know, so if we continue on this trend of immersive in-vehicle experiences, consumers opting for that, when we achieve level 4, level 5 autonomy, what functions will Micron enable, since it'll be able to experience more because you're not going to have to focus on driving at that level of autonomy?
Yeah, great insight. And that's a great question that the industry is trying to figure out, so the assumption is that ultimately vehicles will be self-driving. And so what are we going to do with the passenger's time and used to be the driver's time? And the unfortunate thing is that the kind of last bastion of where we could say, I'm driving, sorry, I can't answer your email, et cetera, that's all going to be violated. And so you're going to see a greater focus on being able to not only entertain, and you've got the kids with Netflix and streaming services and so on and so forth, but you're also going to see probably Microsoft and the others entering the space and look at developing and providing a footprint that's going to allow you to answer emails, create PowerPoint presentations, Excel spreadsheets. So initially it's going to be, wow, this is great. I can get a few more hours of work done. And then you're going to realize that, well, now I've given up that time where I'm driving and I can't respond to emails. I now need to respond to emails. So it's going to be a mixed blessing, but this is definitely going to be an element that's going to define the brand identity of the vehicle. So a Ford is going to look a certain way, a BMW is going to look a certain way, and you're going to make purchasing decisions based upon, I can connect to Apple or Android or whatever, and I can answer emails, I can edit Word documents, Excel spreadsheets and such. So yeah, stay tuned.
You're right about it's going to come down to the experience. Then it's also going to come down to what ecosystem are you in? Do you operate in the Apple ecosystem? Do you operate in the Android ecosystem where all of your content can follow you? That's going to be a key there. And you brought up kids in cars, and we're heading into the summer months, and NHTSA publishes, in my opinion, I'm a father of a young child, disturbing data where certain individuals, leave their children in a vehicle and they suffer heat stroke. Is there a way to avoid this data statistic today where a chip can be implemented in there? If a child based on body weight is left in the car, the air conditioner can automatically turn on to ensure the safety. Is that something that your chips can enable, not just experiences?
Absolutely. In fact, that's a great question, because this is, it's interesting when you start to peel the onion back and hear about all the different issues that exist in today's automotive experience and people leaving kids in cars and so on and so forth. And yeah, the numbers are eye-opening, but yeah, absolutely. In fact, I think today where we're at is that there's actually a lot of technology in the vehicle that can be combined and aggregated together to where, while we're looking for utopia with level 4, level 5 driving, there's a lot of technology that provides a lot of benefits that we should start connecting together. So with regards to occupant detection systems, this is definitely something that's coming down from NIST or NCAP, National Highway Transportation Safety Department. And absolutely where the industry is headed towards is putting cameras not only to look outside the car, but also within the cabin. And within the cabin, really be able to do things like not only detect the driver status, but the status of the driver, but also all the occupants in the vehicle. And so occupant vehicle detection is an emerging trend, and things like artificial intelligence and such can do a great job in terms of figuring out that's not a package, that's a person. And to your point, let's turn on the AC, let's crack the windows, etc. Apologize for the long answers here, Grayson.
No, I appreciate it because they're thoughtful answers. Then, well, the same thing with not necessarily recognizing a passenger. Perhaps it could recognize a dog, or it could recognize a package. Do you think that's something that will happen in the future?
Absolutely. Yeah. The technology is there today. I mean, if you look at driver monitoring systems, the amount of technology that's there to detect, what's the state of the driver? Is the driver coherent? Is the driver incapacitated? Where is their attention? There's so much progress that's been made in AI and AI with driver monitoring systems that, by comparison, quite honestly, occupant monitoring systems are very trivial.
And there's a lot of upsides to it from an economic standpoint, because you can make the argument with driver monitoring or passenger occupancy, it could potentially lead to lower insurance rates, which will end up benefiting that individual. Or if you leave a package in a car, you can hop in your app and say, okay, Acme service, we left a package, and they can put, oh, yes, you did. Okay, vehicle will come back to you. And then you think about, just from an economic standpoint, the money it saves on lost goods, not to mention the amount of lives it will save, will be tremendous.
Yeah, I caught a little bit of this, but I think I got the gist of what you were saying. But yeah, it's all of the exciting stuff about where we're headed, or the exciting thing about where we're headed, is all of this really translates into a win-win situation. So we're saving lives, we're reducing insurance rates. This is why this, at some point, yeah, there's challenges to getting from where we are today to where we want to be, but the benefits are so profound that there is enough inertia to for this to be real, and it is going to happen. So in my mind, it's not a question of if, it's just a question of when. And the technology is there. Again, we're a little bit heavy in the power footprint. We'll rein that in over time. There's a lot of innovations to be had. There's so many benefits, such exciting opportunities, and the OEMs benefit from this. The tier one, everybody seems to benefit from this. So there's enough gravity, if you will, to really make this happen.
You're right about the gravity to make it happen, and I'm starting to see this trend slowly emerge in automotive around augmented reality and glass. We're seeing AR navigation, but then on the other side, if you dive into tech, Facebook is working on Facebook Glass, so you're starting to see that. When do we get to a point where the augmented reality glass will become a reality when we achieve autonomy, and what experiences do you see being enabled then?
So augmented reality, I mean, you could argue that heads-up displays are already kind of a view of augmented reality. So, the ability to have a bunch of information pushed onto your dashboard or projected onto your dashboard, or your windshield is kind of a form of augmented reality. But actually, augmented reality is going to play a really key role in us being able to trust a lot of the sensors and the capabilities that we have in the vehicle. So adaptive cruise control, for example, you could get really nervous about, well, does that adaptive cruise control really see that car in front of me? Is it tracking it? And is it really modulate? I'm sorry, I'm just such a geek. I can't find a better word than modulate. But is it modulating or adjusting the speed to, maintain the right distance between me and the vehicle in front of me? And augmented reality provides me with a great insight as to, okay, projects on the screen, boop, that vehicle is, I can see it, and I am tracking my distance against that vehicle. But so one of the cool things that I've seen that Jaguar Land Rover is introducing is augmented reality that allows you to see over the hood of the car. So if you've ever driven a car where you're going over a big hill and then you're coming down, you can't see what's in front of you as you're going down that hill. But with cameras that are pointed in front of you, that are looking at the ground in front of you, you can project what the actual terrain looks like. And with that augmented reality, you can be a lot more secure about, okay, can I go over this hill or not, et cetera, et cetera. So it's another element that's just going to increase the safety and the driving experience. And again, just take the automobile out of 19 whatever hundreds to the 2000s. It's just, the common theme is it's all about employing semiconductor technology, the benefits that semiconductors bring, where we've got an industry that's used to bending metal and mechanical this and carburetors that, and it's like, no, there's a better way, and it's electronics. And once you just take a step back and go, okay, I'm going to throw electronics at the problem, the benefits you derive are just, so profound. It's like, wow, can I do that? Yeah, why not? Right? Why not? Yeah, we can. Absolutely. So it's a whole new brave world, if you will.
I never looked at augmented reality for trust, but you're right. If you can see if maybe perhaps there's a ball on the road, you don't want to run it over, or is this adaptive cruise control really going to work? So trust is a really valid point. And then what role will memory play in that? Will memory eliminate the buffering so there's not that, hey, wait a second. Oh, okay, what's going on here? No buffering, seamless experience for the driver?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is a great point. And so while I'm touting all the advantages of semiconductors and so on and so forth, which is profound, yeah, if you don't have a memory subsystem that can keep up with the, computation that you're looking for, you've taken a step backwards. So memory, there's a lot of different studies that look at the impact of memory performance on overall system performance, and it's a system performance thing. So at some point, we need to look at processor memory workload. Micron works really, really closely. We've got customer labs. I mean, as a commentary on just how important this is, we have customer labs across the world, 13 different locations, close to where all this Detroit, Munich, Shenzhen, et cetera, where all the development is happening, to work very closely with customers to ensure that we, maximize system performance, end up with a situation where memory isn't the, long pole in the tent, if you will. But yeah, we're kind of the memory has kind of been the unsung hero in this space, or in multiple spaces, where the impact that memory has on system performance can and will be profound. And I guess you were able to win a few video games as a result of having the right memory footprint, and that maps directly in this space. And so yeah, we're pushing the limits of performance. I mean, again, we're talking about computational performance that you're going to find in the data center that's now suddenly in the vehicle. And memory is a significant can have a significant impact on that overall performance. So again, I don't know if I'm answering your question. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, and I apologize if that's the case, Grayson, but I'm enjoying the conversation.
It's extremely, extremely insightful. So please don't shorten the answers, because I love them, because I'm learning a lot. And your memory got me bragging rights, which was the best part. And I'm here with the kids, so I had the bragging rights. And I want to stay on bragging rights for a minute, because you mentioned customer labs. So you have Acme Automotive, and then does Micron open a lab with them and say, okay, we want to work on X, Y, and Z problem? Or could you kind of shed some more light in your customer labs? Because I think it's a fascinating concept.
Yeah, so the complexity of building a system, a computational system that can crank at 500 teraops per second, is not for the faint of heart. And so when we start to kind of get a little bit geeky here and start to talk about, memories that are 128 or 256 bits wide, you've got 256 traces on a PCB that need to all be of equivalent length and signaling characteristics. They all need to be identically the same, or as close as possible. That's not for the faint of heart, and that's just kind of the beginning of the problem. And then you need to look at, what does the workload look like, and the difference in the workload can have a profound impact on just what the overall system performance looks like. So you can you can have cache stalls, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we have recognized the fact that there's great benefit to us working closely with our customers to ensure that we deliver a solution that can achieve their objectives. And because memory is such an important component of this, that we see, we probably service hundreds, or work closely with hundreds of different automotive OEMs, tier ones, on an annual basis, to literally work with them to ensure that they're able to achieve maximum performance with their memory. With storage, there's a real consideration in terms of, how often do I write to this device, and what does that workload look like? And being able to profile that has a significant impact on, can I have this memory in the vehicle for 10, 15 years without failure, because managed NAND flash memory requires attention to, what does the workload look like and how many times am I writing to this device? And to have a vehicle that's going to be on the road for 10 years without zero failure requires, a lot of close attention to detail and a lot of collaboration between the tier one and the memory supplier, as well as the OEM.
So it's a true everybody working together to achieve zero failure and with the end goal of benefiting the customer?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, we've got, like I mentioned, we have 13 labs worldwide. And what we've done is I think we have like $2 million worth of equipment per lab. And if somebody works with us, we can start a design in San Jose, for example, and then move around the globe and literally give you the exact same footprint of equipment, technology, et cetera, so that as the customer engages, they've got literally 24/7 support on their design, because obviously time to market and hitting schedules for automotive is just fundamentally non-negotiable. So,
and do those customers get access to your chips, the GDDR6X, earlier to start to really learn about it and experiment with? Is that one of the perks of being in a lab?
The labs are typically focused on taking, projects that they have in design and development and taking those into production for them. We do partner really closely with our customers and do expose them to latest, greatest technologies. And in fact, it's through this close collaboration that we're able to develop products that are really best in class. And quite frankly, as we start to move down each advanced node, which gives you, bigger, faster, cheaper, which is the mantra of the industry, there are certain trade-offs that we need to make in order to achieve one objective versus another. So we're pushing on a balloon and working very, very closely with the customers. We can figure out, okay, what elements of this spec are not important to you, and as a result of that, we can develop a memory solution that's optimized for automotive. So simple answer is that for newest, latest, greatest, the labs typically don't focus in that space, but we have very close relationships and collaborations. In fact, publicly, we've announced, for example, relationships with BMW, where we work very closely with them. And part of the collaboration is in these areas where we're exposing them to new technologies and asking them to weigh in on what they need and what they don't need.
BMW is a great company that's going through a massive transformation, and their future looks extremely bright. Their strategy is really smart of using the profits from the X7 to fund the electric vehicles. And Micron has a partnership with NVIDIA. It's the hottest chip company in the world, where you're working together to enable true AI. Could you talk about that? Because you've got your incredible memory coming together with the GPU king. So to me, like, there's something special that's got to be cooking over there.
Yeah, I mean, the whole space of AI is, I've been in the semiconductor industry for 30 years. And I think one of the biggest transformations that we're seeing in this decade, et cetera, and will be for some time, is in the area of AI. And we cannot invest as a country, as a community, as an industry enough in this space, because it's going to have a profound impact across the board. So we're incredibly proud of the relationship that we have with NVIDIA, as well as other chipset vendors. And the realization, NVIDIA has done a phenomenal job of really pushing forward AI, making the investments in times when people were going, what is this AI? But they're willing to take the risk. And today, if you don't have AI on your checklist of what you're delivering as a solution supplier company, you've got big question marks. So we announced the GDDR6X solution, which is really taking GDDR6 and then adding, which is the fastest memory in the industry, and then making it even faster through collaborations with NVIDIA. And they're definitely the pioneer in this space. And we're very proud of the work that we're doing there. And AI, from an automotive standpoint, the impact is profound. And again, I apologize, a long answer to a question, but if you look at where AI is playing or what AI is going to do for the automotive industry. AI algorithms have now matured. We now have neural nets that are more accurate than human beings. So the ability to identify an object accurately is better than what a human can do. And then when we throw an 8 megapixel camera on a vehicle, it can do that from a much longer distance. And so AI in automotive, it's going to have a profound impact on really, you know, changing safety, security, roadside safety, et cetera, et cetera. So, but yeah, the relationship with NVIDIA is just one of many that we have across the board, because what's essential is that not only do we deliver the right memory solution, but that memory solution works with all the various different chipset suppliers. So NVIDIA is one example of many examples that we have.
You're putting this incredibly smart AI into the vehicle, and you mentioned the safety elements, but I'd love to know what sort of in-car passenger experience is this going to enable? Is this going to say, oh, wow, we can do a whole new set of things here?
Yeah, absolutely. And to the point that we discussed earlier, we were looking at, where's the future of infotainment going? And we're going to see a new human machine interface occurring. And I think that's going to happen in the car, but it's going to happen in other areas as well. But in the same way that we've evolved with the smartphone, where we know how to pinch things or expand things with our fingers, and we've got this new human machine interface with smartphones, you're going to see the same human machine interface with vehicles. And so we're going to natural language processing, gesture recognition, gaze recognition. I'm going to stare at something and I need to adjust my right side view mirror. If I stare at it long enough, it'll turn so it comes into focus. This is all going to be AI based. And so as Alexa and Google and all the different digital assistants become part of our natural lifestyle. So video, gesture recognition, voice recognition, these are the other benefits that are going to come from AI. It's going to transform how we're going to interact with the vehicle, as well as at some point understanding our behaviors. And so at some point it's going to look at, you like to listen to, these are your music preferences. And obviously the Pandora, the various different music suppliers, start to recognize this, starts to look at your calendar, figure out where your meetings are. Is this an important meeting? Is this not an important meeting? What's the lighting I should be setting in the vehicle? What's the mood I should be setting in the vehicle? So based upon an understanding of who you are and the way you behave, I'm going to really tune the vehicle to that. So, you like to fill up the gas in your car when you're at a quarter tank and you like to go to Shell. I will now, when you hit a quarter tank, look out for a Shell gas station, say, hey, would you like to go fill up your tank right now? So, I mean, it's just, again, once we get to a software platform in a car with AI, use your imagination and it's going to happen.
It's going to be fun. You get in the car and it knows your mood and knows what type of music you're going, and then you're going to be a happier driver. You're going to be less stressed out because maybe you're in the mood for calmness, so you want to listen to Yo-Yo Ma, or you're in the mood for rock and roll, so you put some, Zeppelin 4 on. It's going to completely change the mood. And will the natural language processing get better? Because sometimes the devices in the car, you have to ask 3 or 4 times in the future. If I say, hey car, play Albert King and Stevie Ray Vaughan in session, it'll know exactly that I'm referring to the Austin City Limits concert. I'm not looking at a random record. Will it get that good? Will it completely understand that I want to hear this one recording, not that recording?
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the industry realizes that, and if you look at some of the, tier ones that create all the in-vehicle experience content or solutions and such, they realize that effectively the solution or the, what the experience that you've got at home, you need to get in your car. And the car is a really difficult environment because it's noisy and blah, 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 blah. But and you're the driver, you've got, different accents and so on and so forth. But the industry is very focused on natural language processing. And one of the challenges they're dealing with is the fact that I can't necessarily send everything up to the cloud because I can't guarantee connectivity. So building solutions that have the compute performance that are local in the vehicle, that don't cost a lot, don't consume a lot of power, et cetera, is really where the industry is focusing a lot of their attention. But yeah, absolutely. It should be, the expectation is that the vehicle is a natural extension of my lifestyle. And it's a seamless transition where I walk from outside into my car and my digital lifestyle resumes seamlessly, right?
You're 100% correct about the extension of the lifestyle. In our previous podcast, I sat down with John Absmeyer, the CTO of Lear Corporation, and we spoke about their Xevo platform for enabling in-vehicle commerce. I'd love to know, can memory be optimized to secure and enable instant transactions, where if you're going to the Shell station, for instance, to fill it up, you just all done and the transaction is fully secured?
This is another area that's a big issue, because at some point when we talk about software platform on wheels, security is a huge component of that, and getting security right is it's non-negotiable, and it transcends a lot of different topics. So we talk about things like, vehicle to vehicle communications, where wirelessly cars are going to be able to talk to each other, and through that information there's the ability to actually control the vehicle. So security at that level, because you could imagine if you could suddenly control a fleet of vehicles through hacking, that would be a pretty precarious situation. So to give you an appreciation for just how, security is a big topic, it transcends just simple transactions where somebody could clear out your account. It could be people controlling vehicles. So security is a huge issue. We have developed solutions we call Authenta, which gives you what we call root of trust security, which all the way down at the silicon level, what we're able to do is be able to verify that we are who we say we are, which is identity and trust. And security is an incredibly complex field. But being able to say, okay, everything starts from the memory. And so being able to store all the information and the data that is associated with the operation of the vehicle, be it financial transactions or CV to X or any other element, and saying, yep, I am who I say I am, and you can verify that, has a pretty meaningful and profound impact. It's not the solution alone, it's a composition of a lot of elements that are required to realize that solution. But yes, I do envision in the future, just like you have Apple Pay or wireless transactions with your credit card, the vehicle is going to be at the place where you just drive up and you're recognized and you open up your gas tank and you fill up gas, or maybe you charge your vehicle electrically. And the amount of interaction, it's kind of, imagine where Amazon is today, where they've just simplified everything. You just go one click, I bought it. That's where the vehicle is going to be. And again, apologize for the verbose answers.
That's a special place when it gets there, but you hit the nail on the head several times throughout this conversation. There are the trends emerging. It all boils down to trust. Without trust, nobody's going to do the transaction at the gas station. Nobody's going to get in the vehicle. It seems to be that's the key there. And I want to dive into safety here for a minute, because Micron's fully committed to safety in the automotive products that are being developed to meet the automotive safety integrity level standard set by ISO 26262 safety solution requirements. This is a big undertaking. Will you talk about this, please?
Yeah, no, thank you. The automotive industry has defined a series of standards that are really required for safety relative to different functionality across the vehicle. So if you look at, the impact of your radio not working versus your anti-lock braking system not working, there's a huge disparity there. Obviously, I want to make sure my anti-lock braking system never fails. If my radio doesn't work, it's not a good thing, but it doesn't impact the safety of the vehicle. And so the industry has established a set of automotive industry safety levels, which is called ASIL. And we work backwards in automotive for some odd reason, but ASIL level A is not the most stringent level of safety. ASIL level D is the most stringent level of safety. And so safety is kind of broken into two pieces. The first piece is, are you designing your product with such rigor that you're using best in class methodologies and processes? And so this is what's called systematic fault coverage. And basically, what safety says is that I don't have anything that's systematically designed wrong. So when I've designed this part, I haven't done something wrong. And there are different levels of ASIL A through ASIL D. And when you get to ASIL D, you say, I'm scrutinizing myself across such a long list of elements that the chance of something being wrong is almost, it's infinitesimally small. It literally is one failure in time over like 100,000 years. Okay. And then we look at, so there's the systematic fault, and then there's the random fault, which is just stuff happens. And systems are so complex that we cannot, we have to assume that there are going to be some failures that happen. But when we get to ASIL level D, there are, again, these 10 failures that happen across 148,000 years or something like that. We have designed our parts to support ASIL D systematic coverage, which means we use all the processes that are consistent with achieving basically, this really low failure rate. And then with the systematic, with the random fault coverage, what we say is, okay, so the issue isn't that errors occur. Sometimes they do. And so what we want to be able to do is flag those errors. Something went wrong. The pixel in my display in my car didn't work. Is that catastrophic? No. We'll move on. Something over here that's associated with anti-lock braking system, that has failed. Okay, thank you for flagging me. I am now going to take the right corrective action as a system to either reset the system or hobble the car off to the side of the road. And so that's the work that we've done in the area of random fault coverage, where we're looking at if an error does occur, which should be infinitesimally small, let's flag that error and provide that to the system so that the right behavior can be taken by the vehicle. And this starts with an investment in a functional safety office. So we've got an office of individuals that understand safety inside out. We've then redefined all of our processes to be aligned to this safety standard for systematic fault coverage. And then we've added features to our devices that have allowed us to reflect when we see an error so that the system can decide what's the right behavior, what's the right action to take in the case of this violation.
One could make the argument that functional safety is mission critical. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And what we've seen in the past is that people have modeled memory as being an important element, important, but maybe I'm trying to find the right language. Essential is maybe too strong, but it's an important element. It's a relevant element, but its impact needs to be given greater priority. And that's what we've really done in terms of taking a look at the space and going, okay, we're going to do more than just the basics, if you will. So we've made some significant investments there. And again, and the benefits are great because when we build a product that is compliant to these ISO 26262 standards, while we do it for automotive, we focused on automotive, it actually benefits all of Micron. So these processes are adopted all the way at the top and ripple all the way down. So it's not as though it's just for automotive alone. It's something that helps Micron as a company deliver better products.
Well, that's just a clear indication of a great corporate culture where you're learning from different divisions and creating better products, which benefits your shareholders and benefits your customers. We've heard a lot where memory plays an absolute crucial role in the automotive ecosystem. I had no idea until we started chatting. So I thank you so much for for pulling back the curtain and showing the world the true role that memory plays. Because as I said earlier in this podcast, memory's cool. You got me bragging rights, and now you're doing really great things that are allowing individuals to, get there safely. And we get automation, you're going to allow individuals to ride in the vehicle safely, which is really awesome. And Robert, as we look to wrap up this insightful conversation, I love to know, what would you like our listeners to take away them? Because we covered a lot of ground. You made memory cool. But what was the big takeaway that you'd like individuals to take away with them today?
Simple answer is that the revolution that we are seeing or going to see in the next few years with automotive is going to be as profound, if not greater, than the introduction of the automobile 100 plus years ago. It's a whole new paradigm where we've moved from bending metal to semiconductors really defining the product. And as soon as we throw, technology at the problem, amazing things happen. And the industry is really grappling with figuring out how to do this, because you've got an industry that's steeped with 100 years plus of here's the way that things work. And now this is going to be incredibly disruptive. And the way that we're going to be successful as a collective is if we all work together and take the learnings that we have from participating in enterprise class applications, compute, storage, cloud, data center, and take all of those learnings and work together closely with the automotive industry and take those learnings and work together to build a platform that can address the requirements that actually are more stringent than almost any other application I can think of. I mean, we're talking about, not a data center that's trying to make sure that pictures of cats playing the piano are secure. We're talking about, the safety of people in vehicles and compute performance that rivals the data center. And success will be achieved through close collaboration across many semiconductor suppliers. And memory is a very, very important component of that space. And so through that close collaboration, we'll realize the vision of self-driving vehicles. And I think the transformation is going to be so incredibly exciting. I always tell everybody when I have talks that with engineers that you guys are working in a very exciting place and an exciting time where the entire automotive industry is being redefined right now. And these are exciting times.
They're definitely exciting times, and working together is the key to success. And as we've heard during this podcast, memory is enabling all sorts of wonderful experiences, but memory is also playing a crucial role in functional safety, which will save lives. And the future is bright. The future is autonomous. The future is secure, fast memory. Robert, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the Road to Autonomy today.
It's been absolutely my pleasure. I look forward to continued conversations in the future, to be honest.
I do as well. Thank you again so much, Robert. Thank you for listening to the Road to Autonomy podcast. If you've enjoyed listening, please rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Want to get in touch? Follow us on Twitter at Road to Autonomy or email podcast@brulteco.com. The Road to Autonomy is produced by Brulte & Company. The views and opinions expressed on the Road to Autonomy podcast do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Brulte & Company. The content discussed in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as legal, tax, investment, or business advice.